Hello and welcome, football fans, to the Panthers Picks podcast. A couple more for the people, of course. This is, obviously the Michigan Panthers base, but a Picks podcast here was we're placing a couple wagers. You know what I'm saying? Seeing if we can beat a book out here on some UFL lines. If you guys watched the Michigan Panthers most recent episode, the one where I reviewed Week 8 and previewed Week 9, then you'll know, or if you saw the episode, of course, I went over there and I was a guest over on the H-Town Pick'em podcast. H-Town, just H-T-O-W-N, Pick'em, P-I-C-K-E-M, all one word, no spaces, no underscores, no nothing. Check them out over there. And we talked extensively about picks and whatnot with some of the other guys over there. Fantastic guys. Again, check them out. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I know the episode last week was short, was audio only, but hey, we all have priorities in life. Folks, I had to do something else. Speaking of the person who had to do something else, who I know what you're thinking. Who is that mustachioed man screaming at me about my other responsibilities and other stuff? Well,
you ever made out with a tugboat?
I'm FBI Tugboat. I'm a commentator. I am an announcer. I am a host. I am a interviewer. I have done a whole lot of stuff. I've worn a bunch of different hats. I mostly work within esports, mostly Overwatch and Rocket League. I also work on a bunch of different traditional sports, and I'm not restricted by my career. I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I also love spring football. That's why I'm making these podcasts. I live in Las Vegas, and we're doing a little bit of picks episode here, so let's get into it. Man, the man himself over there, he said it. He said it. The host of the H-Town Pick'em podcast, that is Coach Kovo there. He said it himself. A lot of these lines this week are a little bit wonky. Like maybe they know something that you and I do not. Like maybe Vegas knows. Shout out to the Sportsbook Consigliere. I think nobody knows. How about that one? Because this is sports, and anything in the wild world of sports can happen, folks. Some of these lines, at first look, I feel like are kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Some of them just really are not. Let's go ahead and talk about them though. St. Louis visiting Arlington. All road teams are favorited this week by at least a spread of 3 points, by the way. Interesting stuff. St. Louis visiting the Arlington Renegades for our 9 a.m. Pacific time there for Saturday, 12 p.m., 3 hours exactly afterwards, noon our time over here on the West Coast Pacific time. Birmingham Stallions will be visiting the San Antonio Brahmas for their first matchup, a game that should be fantastic. Moving on into Sunday, we are doing regional stuff yet again. We're having 2 UFL games at the very same time. The Michigan Panthers visiting the Houston Roughnecks, probably the last game to be played in Rice Field. Of the Rice Owls. The DC Defenders at the very same exact time visiting Memphis to take on the Showboats, the hands down worst team in this entire league. And that's just not me talking. That's just not me talking. Let's go ahead and pick these. So 3.5 point spread for 3.5 point favorite for the St. Louis Battlehawks, 8.5 for the Birmingham Stallions. Our Michigan Panthers, laying 3 on the road. The DC Defenders laying 5 on the road as well, visiting not the city of music, that's Nashville. Visiting Memphis, whatever that city is known as in Tennessee, because I don't know what that city is known as. 3.5 minutes in here right now. Let's go ahead and pick these. I think we might even be able to talk a little bit about injuries and stuff like that. Let me see. Bam, 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 bam. Hang on, guys. Hold, please. Hold, please. I'm sorry. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I had it up right here, and then I accidentally went away. I just had the... Okay. Well, the UFM Communications Department just literally put this out. Well, I guess we'll go... Arlington here, and there you go, Battlehawks. Switch this on over. I'm sorry, guys. I should be a lot more prepared. Bam, let's transition this on over. We'll do St. Louis, the road team first. Here we go. Inside linebacker, Lakeem Williams. Bradley is out. I know that was up in the air, but all their other wide receivers going to be back inside. Love it. So St. Louis's offense going to be completely there. Taking a look at Arlington, a lot of line. No, only the three line guys, like they're not going to be playing. A lot of these names don't really jump out at me. Besides Winningham, of course, like a lot of quote unquote skill positions obviously get talked about more on broadcast. I don't really, I'm not going to say I don't care. It does not affect me as much, guys. This is a rematch here, of course. Yeah, I mean, this is a rematch. The last time these two teams played, it was going all the way down to the wire, and the St. Louis squad won by the field goal. You know, the walk-off field goal, right? And especially given that they're not in the Battle Dome, I feel like this is one of the easier ones. To like really feel confident on or whatnot, but I'm leaning Arlington plus 3.5. The more I talk about it here, actually, so those injuries were literally just released right there, and given that, I mean, St. Louis can have every single wide receiver they've ever started in 2 years available in this game. It simply doesn't matter if they have a quarterback who cannot get the rock to him, and this quarterback is simply untested. AJ McCarron, I believe, is going to be healthy and stuff, and I'll be very surprised if they actually play him in a game that doesn't really matter. The USFL or the UFL championship is already going to be played in St. Louis, and they only have to do a little bit as well. And if they lose, I mean, if San Antonio is playing against the best team in the league, and the Birmingham Stallions, the team that will probably go forth and beat them in the UFL championship. I am leaning. I had my locks written out here before. I'm leaning Arlington 3.5. I'm leaning pretty heavily Arlington 3.5 now. This is actually also the only totals that I feel confident about as well, guys. The totals in this have just been so up and down. Obviously, Michigan missed that last week. Was 42 points. They needed 45.5. I bet the over. I went over 2-2 last week as well. By the way, guys, I bet the over, and then both teams went forth off of 6 touchdown attempts. Right, 0 extra points. And a Jake Bates missed 51-yard field goal for the first time he's ever missed inside ever, period, in a story. 3 extra points would have made it. Oh, well. That's gambling for you, folks. I mostly retired from the overs, or from the totals, excuse me. This is the only one that I really feel any kind of way about. Maybe not the only one, but probably the one that I feel strongest about. So leaning and heavily leaning. I'll figure it out towards the end here, but heavily leaning Arlington Renegades, not locking it quite yet. We'll get to it. Next game is again Saturday, 12 PST. Birmingham Stallions laying all kinds of points on the road right here against San Antonio. The only reason I can think of why is because San Antonio didn't play as great a game last week and looked like really vulnerable and whatnot. This should be a really easy. This should be not an easy game. I'm not going to say an easy game. This should be. This is a bet that even if I miss, I'm going to feel great about. 8.5 right there. If it was 9, that'd just be a little bit better, just because that's that. Like, or even like. Yeah, because I would feel great about 9 because that's a touchdown and 3-point conversion, which almost never happens here, or it's almost never attempted, and it's even rarely made here in the UFL. If that is a blow in plus 8.5, that's going to come off the back of Birmingham Stallions touchdown, behind by a point, get a touchdown plus their extra point conversion, and then a field goal with like 4 minutes left or something like this. I'm also leaning under on this one because just simply because these two defenses are fantastic. But we have to keep in mind, guys, this is a Birmingham Stallions squad that just gave up. They gave up 28 points to the Houston Roughnecks. The Houston Roughnecks got 28 points in the Birmingham Stallions as one of their highest scoring games of this season. And Birmingham only won by 7. You can't even hardly compare these two Texas teams between the San Antonio Brahmas and the Houston Roughnecks when you're looking at all really two sides of the field, but especially including special teams. This one I do feel good about. I'm really deciding about whether or not I'm going to add the lock of Arlington plus 3.5 or San Antonio plus 8.5. I'm really feeling better about Arlington plus 3.5, but I'm averse to trying to bet two different things in the same game between the ATS and the total right there. I am leaning. Place 7.5, and we'll get toward the end. There might be a lock later, and definitely leaning under. But again, don't feel confident enough about it to bet. Moving on along here, yours, mine, our Michigan Panthers taking on the Houston Roughnecks. Again, this will be one of the last games played at Rice Stadium. Given that they'll almost certainly either moving the team, or at least playing in a different stadium next year for the Houston Roughnecks. We talked about in the Panthers podcast earlier about these are the two teams that the UFL are considering moving at least a little bit. Again, for the Michigan, it wouldn't be that big. Ann Arbor is like 40 miles away. Lansing is like 100 or something, or not even 100. And it's East Lansing as well, which is even closer to Detroit. Any hoodles, -3. Michigan Panthers, Houston Roughnecks. Total set at the over/under total set at 40. I might actually take out Michigan -3 here, just simply because I could see this being a situation like a 18-16 game, even possibly less than that, and then Bates coming on for another 55-yarder walk-off field goal to win by 1 or 2. That's but at the same time, I could see Michigan just blowing the Houston out, and Houston returning to the team that we've known them to be for many for an entire season, really. Actually, let me actually look at this a little bit because I want to see. Last time this was a blowout, I believe, but I want to see who Houston played the last few weeks to get to this kind of situation. Damn it, schedule. I want to go to the overall schedule, you son of a bitch. Here we go. The Fox one is so much better. Who have the Houston Roughnecks played? It was the Birmingham Stallions, right? Which, fantastic job. Also, the first week that they came forth and didn't fully matter, right? Because Birmingham had solidified, went forth to not matter even more because this is a Houston squad, or this is the Wayne State Community College is being held at Ford Field. Even we took #1 seeding. I ranted about it plenty on H-Town Pick'ems. I ranted about it plenty on the Panthers podcast. Not going to do that again. So, Houston lost by 3 and lost by 7. San Antonio and Birmingham before then. And then got blown out by the St. Louis Battlehawks 22-8. And I believe that was the game in week 6 that A.J. McCarron went out. And, I mean, guys, I would say don't read into this one too much. San Antonio's offense, I mean, Houston's defense has been pretty good, but San Antonio's offense in that game just kind of sputtered a little bit. And then the last week, honestly, I'd say just call that a fluke with the Birmingham Stallions, or just, again, them not playing as hard as they need to because they've already clinched and whatnot. So, let's see. Oh, yeah, so this is... this is the lock. -3, Michigan Panthers. What am I talking about? Even if this is something where they're tied and Jake Bates goes out and kicks that 60-yard field goal or whatever else like that and wins by 3 and this is a push, I can sleep with that at night. Of the locks, I'll say this is one I don't feel as confident about the more I read about it. Let's look at... here, let's go ahead and look at the injuries and whatnot. They're only going to have the first 4 inactives posted, aren't they? You sons of... Here we go. Oh, no, that's last week. Oh, well. Take a look at it later. Wait, actually, I had the... didn't I have the injuries? It doesn't matter. Trey Quinn, Marcus Sims, both possible to not be playing in this. Houston doesn't have a whole lot of players, but again, man, their defense is the only thing that's going to keep them in this game. Their offense looks absolutely anemic, and they might be coming in with Henderson this week as well. This is a Michigan Panthers -3, and I'm not just saying that because of the Panthers podcast, or Panthers Picks podcast. I also lean under. I see this being a very low-scoring game, or us blowing them out like... I could see 28-8, 28-9, something like that for us. Moving to the next. DC visiting the hapless, sinking ship that is Memphis as of right now. DC catching 5. Over-under set at 46. This is the second of the 2 games here set at 46. This is the lock of locks. DC might not have looked like great last weeks or in various weeks. They have not looked great against teams that are good. Memphis is a terrible squad. Even if this misses, like, just fading the absolute crap out of this squad is never going to be a bad situation. If you guys watch the UFL gambling, if you watch the H-Town stuff, this should be maybe even closer. If this was a regular season game and the playoffs hadn't been locked up, this would be a double-digit spread, or at least it should be. Anything before then, lock it. I caught it at 4.5 for DC as well. If you can find that, obviously, this podcast is not sponsored by anybody. Go forth and find all the lines. Get the best odds that you can find out there. Nobody is sponsoring this mother yet, okay? With that, I will get to DC lock of the century. I've put two full units on this. All of these are one single unit plays. Michigan, or sorry, so talking about locks, I really only have three, but I really feel like I need to give four, right, for this to be like a real podcast, right? Locks being DC -5, 100%. If you take anything on this entire podcast, take that. If you can find 4.5, do it. I think it's even open at -4. Michigan -3. There's a couple ways that doesn't happen, but most of them are not within the realm of possibility as long as Houston shows up to be the team that we have grown to know them to be across 8 weeks now of UFL football. And then St. Louis and Arlington. These are two teams that do not have fantastic defenses, but AJ McCarron is out as well. I might just scrap that. I might just scrap that for one of the locks right here and just take San Antonio because that's what I'm leaning. That's what I'm leaning towards. Like I feel great about DC -4.5. I feel good about Michigan -3. I don't feel, I don't feel fantastic about the over 46. If you need to take a totals, guys, that's the one that I would take really here. Maybe the over in the DC Memphis game, just because DC might literally blow them out, and Memphis only has an offense, it seems. But I'm locking up DC -5. I'm gonna go ahead. You know what? I'm gonna take a plunge. Hold your nose. Jump into the water. We went 2-2 last week doing this. I feel like I need to have at least 4. I am marking it down. San Antonio +8.5. Mark it down. Birmingham might even rest their starters and whatnot. San Antonio is still playing for top seeding in a conference that they have not just told to go screw themselves by having a community college's graduation at one of their stadiums on the Saturday after the regular season. Oh well. 4 picks. DC -5, Michigan -3, San Antonio +8.5. I'll take them all at ATS. Screw it. Arlington +3.5. Arlington +3.5. You guys talked me into it. I talked myself into a corner. If this drops to 3, I would say not. I would say not take it. Or if it drops to 3, If it drops to if it drops to -2 to +2.5, do not avoid. Get away. Because I could easily see the same kind of situation happening with them being tied coming into the fourth, and just another fourth quarter tearjerker here for the Arlington Renegades. Both the teams have something to play for, though. Arlington to prove that they can win more than one game per season. I'm not exactly sure who their Week 10 game is against. Hang on, DC. Okay, yeah. So I would say that's a game that matters for the teams involved, not necessarily for the for playoff contention or whatnot. So just going through this again: DC -5, Michigan -3, San Antonio +8.5, Arlington +3.5, and I'm heavily leaning the over for the St. Louis Arlington game at over 46. I'm gonna put money. I'm gonna put more money on DC than the other bets. I'll tell you guys that much. I usually don't change the variety there, but I just feel so much more confident about that. Guys, once again, go forth, find what, take the picks, fade them, tail them, whatever, comment down there. This is obviously DraftKings. I just feel like this is the most, nationally known sports book and whatnot. But take whatever best numbers are available to you on whatever sports book you prefer. Obviously, don't gamble with money you can't stand to lose. Don't gamble if you're underage or in a state that where sports gambling is illegal. That's going to be about it here for the Panthers Picks podcast. I'm FBI_Tugboat, FBI_Tugboat on literally everything up there: Instagram, Twitch, Discord, and Twitter. Do me a favor, comment down bottom what you liked most, what you hated. And what pick you think I'm an absolute moron. Complain about how wishy-washy I was. That'd be entirely fair. I would complain too if I was you guys. All right. Any hoodles. Check out the guys over there at the folks at UFM or the UFM on Twitter. And obviously we got players, at least one person covering each of the 8 teams. We have a couple talk shows. We have a couple pick'em episodes that come out weekly as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.